Bitcoiners have a saying that Bitcoin fixes this, right? That's kind of like one of the favorite sayings on Twitter. After going through this experience and seeing how people are, going through various hardships in different countries, and seeing how inflation and like the economic aspect of it plays a role, what are your thoughts on how much of these problems Bitcoin actually fixes? Like, can this all be solved through like economic incentives? Are there components that Bitcoin cannot fix? I would love to hear your view on like the economic role of Bitcoin in solving some of these bigger problems.
Yeah, I mean, the meme is good because it's true in many ways. There are a lot of things Bitcoin does fix, but like there are a lot of things Bitcoin doesn't address. I think that in the near term, we should focus on the things it does fix because they're real and it's of tremendous utility to figure out how to use Bitcoin. And it can really benefit a lot of people, millions, hundreds of millions of people around the world. You've got some really clear and obvious examples. A lot of human rights activists, specifically in the human rights field, have their finances either monitored or frozen or confiscated. So by learning about how to use Bitcoin, how to use open source wallets, how to use the Lightning Network, how to avoid KYC, you can start to like onboard them into a parallel financial system where they can receive funding, pay their workers, pay their journalists, pay their translators, just in this sort of entirely parallel structure that's like separate from the state financial system. And you're seeing this in Belarus, Nigeria, other places where activists have started to sort of turn to Bitcoin as a fundraising tool. Russia, other countries, and it'll happen in America too. I mean, eventually, when you get, deplatforming has a political implication in the United States usually, right? But it's a straightforward word, and you know what? Like the feminists coalition in Nigeria was deplatformed, and so are human rights activists in virtually every dictatorship. They are literally deplatformed, right? So how can they keep going? It's really tough. Human rights activists don't often talk about the financial side of things, but it's a tough thing. I mean, even to get a grant, a $10,000 grant through to your country, wherever you are, it can take weeks. There's issues. It's just annoying. So to be able to just instantly receive the money and have it in your hands and in your control in a currency that can't be stolen or confiscated or devalued is hugely, hugely important. So I think administratively, just like the financing aspect is huge for activists. So that's sort of the micro, where I think it's going to be like the mobile phone. Like people are going to end up using it over the next few decades just because it's better money. And that goes for human rights activists too, or maybe especially for human rights activists. But then there's the macro, which is that like this gives people an opportunity to opt into a money system that their government doesn't control. And over time reduces arbitrary power. I mean, if you think about how governments control their citizenry, a huge amount of it relates to currency, money, and this is a way of just saying, no, we're going to opt out peacefully. I mean, you look at Burma right now in Myanmar, people are protesting the dictatorship by not paying their taxes. It's interesting. I mean, obviously we have a rich history of that in the United States, going back to colonial times, right? But it's still, protesting through money, through opting out is still a thing around the world. I think what's going to be clearer as we move forward is that, not paying taxes is one method, and it's a tactic, sure. But opting into Bitcoin is way more powerful, I think, in some ways. I mean, it's really a rebuke, I think, to everything that authoritarianism stands for.